Hello and welcome students. In this video, we are going to talk about a very important concept about ATP. Now, the very first point is that ATP, the full form of ATP is called adenosine triphosphate. Now, ATP is a nucleotide. Um, and next is that all the foods that we eat help us to build ATP in our body, in the cell. And then, for example, is one glucose molecule will help us make 36 ATP molecules. One triglyceride will help in making of 146 ATP molecules. Now, we are going to now take a look at the structure as to what the structure of an ATP molecule is. And it basically has three important parts. The first one is it has a 5-carbon ribose ring, which is a sugar. The next is a nitrogenous base and 3 phosphate groups. So on the next page, we'll take a look at the actual structure of the ATP molecule. All right, so here we'll take a look at the actual structure of an ATP molecule. So here, as we talked about the three different subgroups, these are the three different subgroups that you can see. This is in the center is the 5-carbon sugar. That's the first group. The next is the nitrogenous base. Second, it is also called adenine. And then the triphosphate on the left-hand side here is the third subgroup for this ATP molecule. Now, what basically is important to see here is that these two together, they are called adenosine. When they are combined together, that's their name. And then as you can see over here, the name, if we take a look at all of it together, the name is going to be adenosine and triphosphate group. Hence the name ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So this is the basic structure, a very basic formula of the ATP molecule. Now, students, we are taking a look at the complete chemical structure of the ATP molecule. Here you can actually see the ribose group, the first one that we talked about, the 5-carbon sugar. The next is the nitrogenous base, number 2. And then your 3-phosphate group, 1, 2, 3, is right here, which is triphosphate, part of the ATP molecule. So this is number 3. And also I have uploaded this picture from your textbook, OpenStax Biology. So just giving credit to them. Now, ATP is also called the life fuel of the cell. These are the two nicknames given to ATP, and also the energy currency of the cell. So I put a $ over there for you because it's so important that all the functions, all the metabolic pathways can be only carried out with the presence of ATP. So it's actually the really very important, you can say, part of a human body. And that's why we are studying it also into deep detail. The next point is cells use energy stored in ATP to, there are many functions that the cells can use this energy. Basically, the energy is stored between the phosphate bonds, the triphosphate group. And when those bonds are broken, a lot of energy is released, and that energy is used in other metabolic functions, for example, transporting substances across the cell membrane, anorganic reactions. So anorganic reactions where energy is used, to carry out the reaction. Muscle contraction, when, let us say, people go to gym and use a lot of energy lifting weights, etc. And then building DNA is also another function. So all right, thank you, and we'll take a look at more of the details on the next page. Now we will take a look at how the energy is basically released and what happens with the phosphate bonds and how the ATP changes to ADP. Now, basically the phosphate bonds are very high energy storage houses, so they have a lot of energy, between the bonds. And they are also very unstable. Now, the reason that they are unstable is because of the oxygen that is in the phosphate bonds is negatively charged. Now, because of all of the oxygen being negatively charged, like charges, same charges repel each other, opposite charges attract each other. So the like charges are repelling and they are ready to break. So they just want that one phosphate to go away from them. So here you can see that, we have three phosphate groups, and these two are just trying to make this phosphate group go away. They just don't want this phosphate group here. Basically, that is what is happening. So as a result of this reaction, what happens is that the ATP triphosphate is converted to ADP, which is diphosphate. Di means that one phosphate is gone and there are two phosphates left now, and that is the reason it is called diphosphate. Now this phosphate group, the third one that was gone, is separate, and as a result of this, because of those bonds are broken, that energy is also released. All right, now let us take a look at the basic reaction that happens here. Again, ATP uses water to give ADP diphosphate plus the extra phosphate, and a lot of energy is released. Now remember, whenever energy is released, they are called exergonic reaction. So the energy is exiting or released here. Next up, what if this is the reversible reaction? What will happen? ADP plus phosphate plus energy is going to give us back ATP. And then it also gives water. Now both of these reactions keep on happening, on a continuous basis in the body. And here the energy is being used as a part of the reaction on the side of the reactants. That is why it is called endergonic reaction. So this is another important detail that we need to know. Now, the next question here that arises is, where is this ATP actually produced and how is it produced? So ATP is produced inside mitochondria. Mitochondria is also called the powerhouse of the cell because it actually manages a lot of functions of the cell and makes it, keeps it working perfectly. And also, basically, ATP synthase is used in the production. And remember, any word that ends in biology with ASE is usually an enzyme. So it's a protein embedded in the inner membrane of mitochondria, which lets the hydrogen, let us say over here, an example of these hydrogen ions that are traveling through the membrane. And there is a like little bit of motor type of thing here that actually moves when these ions are actually entering into the membrane and then exiting over here out of the membrane. So as a part of this process, ATP is produced and a lot of energy is also released. So, I hope it made some sense in the video today. So thank you for watching. And this was all about the ATP that we have looked at. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.